welcome to List Lab. Today we're counting down 10 obscure theories about the lost civilization of Atlantis. Some of these fringe ideas span both modern speculation and ancient myths, connecting Atlantis to places like Egypt and even the polar extremes. Each entry explores a different possible origin of the Atlantis legend. Let's begin the countdown. Number 10. The frozen continent. One theory claims that Atlantis lies beneath the ice of Antarctica. Proponents argue that thousands of years ago, Antarctica wasn't always the frozen desert we know today. They suggest a sudden shift of the Earth's crust moved a temperate land to the South Pole, flash freezing an advanced civilization. Enthusiasts often point to old maps, like a 16th century world map that seemingly shows an ice-free Antarctic coast, as evidence that ancient people knew of this lost land. In this vision, Atlantis was a thriving continent in a warmer age, suddenly entombed in ice around 12,000 years ago by a global catastrophe. It's an extraordinary idea, and while science finds no proof that a hidden city sleeps under the Antarctic ice, the allure of a frozen Atlantis continues to captivate imaginations. Number 9. The Egyptian connection. According to Plato, the tale of Atlantis originally came from Egyptian priests, sparking theories of a direct link between Egypt and Atlantis. Some believe the Egyptians preserved memories of an earlier lost civilization and passed the story down through the centuries. Fringe thinkers even speculate that survivors of Atlantis escaped the destruction and found refuge along the Nile. In this scenario, these refugees might have shared advanced knowledge, influencing Egypt's architecture and wisdom, with some going as far as suggesting that monuments like the Sphinx or pyramids carry an Atlantean legacy. A few legends claim secret records of Atlantis were hidden under the Giza Plateau, waiting to be discovered. There's no archaeological evidence for these claims, but the idea that Egypt's ancient wonders hold clues to Atlantis adds an enticing mystery to the legend. Number 8. The Sunken Empire. Classic interpretations of Plato's story place Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean itself, a mighty island empire that suddenly sank beneath the waves. In the 19th century, writers like Ignatius Donnelly popularized the notion of a mid-Atlantic continent that was home to the first great civilization. This lost land, the theory goes, bridged the old and new worlds, explaining similarities between ancient cultures in Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Believers imagined a sprawling kingdom beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar, with the Azores or Canary Islands as its mountaintops still poking above the sea. They argue that Atlantis' destruction in a prehistoric cataclysm wiped out a cradle of civilization, leaving only echoes in myth and scattered refugees. Modern geology, however, hasn't found any sunken continent in the Atlantic, yet the image of a vanished oceanic empire remains one of the most enduring Atlantis theories. Number 7. The psychic revelations. Not all Atlantis theories come from science. Some come from claimed psychic visions and occult writings. In the late 1800s, mystics like Helena Blavatsky wrote about Atlantis as an advanced but spiritually fallen society, weaving it into ancient wisdom traditions. Later, the American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce added vivid detail to the legend through his trance readings. He described Atlantis as a technologically advanced civilization powered by mysterious energy crystals and flying machines, a society ultimately destroyed by its own misuse of power. Cayce even predicted that remnants of Atlantis would one day be found near the Bahamas, and that Atlantean survivors fled to places like Egypt after the catastrophe. These psychic accounts, while impossible to verify, have influenced how many imagine Atlantis, not just as a legend, but as a real chapter of human history accessible through intuition or past life memories. It's a fantastical perspective, one that keeps the story alive in spiritual and New Age circles despite the lack of concrete evidence. Number 6. The Bimini Road. In 1968, off the coast of Bimini Island in the Bahamas, divers discovered something unusual. a long pathway of flat, rectangular stones under the turquoise water. This formation, now famous as the Bimini Road, lies in shallow seas and looks strikingly like a man-made road or wall. Believers in Atlantis seized on the find, suggesting it might be a collapsed harbour or roadway from a portion of Atlantis that sank long ago. The fact that this discovery came just as a popular psychic had predicted, Atlantis rising in the area, made it even more legendary. Those who support the theory note that Bimini sits along the same Atlantic latitude where part of Atlantis might have been, perhaps as an outpost of the Great Island. Skeptics counter that the stones are natural limestone breakage, not hand-placed blocks. But for many, the Bimini Road remains a tantalizing clue. A hint that perhaps traces of Atlantis' civilization could lie just beneath the waves, waiting to be recognized. Number 5. The Andean Atlantis. Some theories place Atlantis not in the ocean at all, but high in the mountains of South America. Researchers have pointed to the Altiplano of Bolivia, a vast, high-altitude plain near the Andes, as a candidate for Atlantis' true location. In this view, an ancient civilization could have thrived on a plateau that was once lush and surrounded by a great inland sea. Proponents highlight a site in southern Bolivia, where concentric geometric features on the ground resemble Atlantis' ringed city design. They argue that this plain, now dry and salt-encrusted, might have been flooded by a massive prehistoric disaster, creating the illusion of a sunken island. The idea of an Andean Atlantis turns Plato's geography on its head, placing the island 13,600 meters above sea level. It's a fringe idea with intriguing coincidences, but so far no ruins or artifacts have confirmed the existence of a lost city in the Bolivian highlands. Still, the theory expands the search for Atlantis to some of the most unexpected places on Earth. Number 4. The Sundaland hypothesis. Another far-flung idea suggests that Atlantis might have existed in Southeast Asia. During the last ice age, sea levels were much lower, and a huge expanse of land, known to geologists as Sundaland, connected modern-day Indonesia, Borneo, and Malaysia. Fringe researchers propose that this now submerged subcontinent was home to an advanced civilization that fits the Atlantis legend. They point out that as the Ice Age ended, rapid sea level rise around 11,000 to 10,000 years ago would have drowned vast coastal areas of Sundaland, perhaps inspiring ancient flood myths across Asia. According to this hypothesis, Atlantis wasn't in the Atlantic at all, but in the tropics, a wealthy kingdom lost beneath the rising oceans of the East. Supporters sometimes link this idea with rich local folklore about sunken islands, and with the notion that survivors spread eastward cultural knowledge. While underwater archaeology in the region has found some signs of prehistoric settlements on once exposed lands, nothing as grand as Atlantis has surfaced. The Sundaland theory remains a captivating attempt to tie the legend to the dramatic changes of the prehistoric world. Number 3. The Great Flood Memory. One interpretation holds that Atlantis may not have been a single physical location at all, but rather a legend born from collective memories of a great prehistoric flood. Many ancient cultures recount massive floods or lost lambs in their myths, from Mesopotamia's deluge to India's tales of a drowned continent. This theory notes that Plato's date for Atlantis' destruction, about 9600 BC, coincides with the end of the last ice age, when melting glaciers caused sea levels to rise dramatically. As coastlines flooded and low-lying lands vanished underwater, the traumatic memories of those events could have been passed down orally over millennia. By the time the story reached Plato's era, these memories might have coalesced into the tale of Atlantis, a once great world submerged by the sea in a single day. In this view, Atlantis symbolizes all the lost coastal civilizations and islands swallowed by rising oceans long ago. It's a broad and evocative theory, linking the Atlantis story to real geological events, and it underscores how a kernel of truth, the great post-Ice Age floods, might be preserved in the form of a powerful myth. Number 2. The Aegean Cataclysm. Among the more historically grounded theories is the idea that Atlantis was inspired by the Minoan civilization and the catastrophic eruption of Thera in the Aegean Sea. The Minoans, based on Crete and nearby islands, were an advanced Bronze Age culture thriving over 3,500 years ago. They built elaborate palace cities, sailed the Mediterranean, and accumulated wealth, a possible parallel to Atlantis' grandeur. Around 1600 BC, the volcanic island of Thera, today's Santorini, erupted with extraordinary force. The blast and resulting tsunamis obliterated the island's center and dealt a devastating blow to Minoan coastal settlements. Such a sudden destruction of a flourishing island society could easily have been remembered and retold for generations. Some scholars believe the echoes of this cataclysm reached Plato's ancestors, eventually inspiring his account of Atlantis' rise and fiery fall. The details aren't a perfect match. Plato set Atlantis far earlier in time, yet the Aegean theory remains compelling. It shows how a real historical disaster, the fall of the Minoans, might lie behind the enduring legend of a lost empire swallowed by the sea. Number 1. The Eye of the Sahara. One of the most startling recent theories places Atlantis in an unlikely location, the heart of the Sahara Desert. In Mauritania, West Africa, there is a gigantic circular landform called the Richat structure, often nicknamed the Eye of the Sahara. Spanning nearly 40 kilometers, it consists of concentric rings of rock that some feel bear an uncanny resemblance to Atlantis' fabled circular city. Advocates of this idea note that if you go back far enough, the Sahara was wetter, and some suggest that the Eye could have been an island or surrounded by water in the distant past. They point to features like nearby salt deposits in ancient riverbeds as hints that the area wasn't always arid. According to this theory, Atlantis' remains didn't sink beneath the ocean at all. Instead, they lie eroded in plain sight on the African continent, mistaken for a natural formation. The Richat structure does align in a rough way with several of Plato's described measurements in geography, which fuels excitement that this could be the legendary site. So far, however, no definitive archaeological evidence has been found to confirm an ancient city at the location. Most scientists consider the Eye of the Sahara a natural geologic dome, but the sheer visual similarity and the mystery of the place have thrust it into the spotlight as a thrilling possible origin of Atlantis. A reminder that even deserts can hide deep secrets of the past. Which theory about Atlantis' origin did you find the most intriguing? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to LizLab for more explorations of history's mysteries.